Steelers 0-1-1?
Well, it's not fun, but it's still early. This kind of where we're going to go from here. It's kind of a mere gut check, whatever you want to call it. So we'll see how everyone wants to respond.
Welcome to Steelers Live, everybody, better known as group therapy or mainly therapy for our good friend Bob Labriola. Joining me now to break down the Steelers' loss in the home opener to the Chiefs are Bob Labriola and Tunch Ilkin. And guys, the Steelers are sitting at 0-1-1. Certainly not the start anybody wanted to get off to.
I would have never thought it possible.
Yeah.
Seriously, it wasn't something that you do realize that it could happen, but I just never thought it was real.
Yeah.
It would.
I really thought the Steelers were going to bounce back this week, and everything that I thought was going to happen did not. I was wrong. On this very set, I said Patrick Mahomes has happy feet. I said Patrick Mahomes does not like to stay in the pocket. He likes to scramble. I talked about the 50 passes that I charted. 10 of them, he got outside the pocket. Well, he didn't do any of that. He hung there in the pocket.
He looked pretty good yesterday, eh?
He did. You know what? And I also said that he is not your typical West Coast quarterback. I watched him warm up. He doesn't have the footwork, but boy, he's got the arm. And that pass to Chris Connolly, they flooded the zone. Poor Artie Burns, he was by himself on that side with two receivers to his side. They did a nice job of stretching the Steelers' secondary. They made Sammy Watkins, who looked invisible last week, like the first-round pick that everyone was expecting. And unfortunately, the Steelers had a very, very tough time of it. Great throw to Kelsey on that one.
I really think that the Chiefs have done a very nice, underrated job of putting this offense together. Tunch, you mentioned Sammy Watkins. I mean, the guy was the fourth pick of a draft. He is big. He is fast. He had some foot injury problems when he was in Buffalo, but apparently he is healthy now. And, the labels of labeling him a bust were very premature, obviously. Travis Kelsey, we all know about him. Tyreek Hill, we all know about him. Kareem Hunt, we all know about him. And I think that the best thing that ever happened to Andy Reid was that Alex Smith is no longer the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs. Not that Alex Smith was incompetent, but Alex Smith's style was more conservative, check down. He was, I believe, maybe a little overly conscious about not turning the ball over. Patrick Mahomes, he's a gunslinger. He's going down the field with it. He's going to take some chances, and his arm strength and his arm talent makes him the kind of a guy where he can take advantage of some of those chances. The guy completed 82% of his passes Sunday at Heinz Field. So, when anyone's looking around the AFC and trying to figure out the most talented offensive unit in the conference or maybe in the entire NFL, don't forget Kansas City, because I'm telling you, what they have put together is an impressive group.
I had to quote Webby from the 1984 AFC Championship game when we lost to Marino. We didn't lose to the Dolphins. We lost to Danny Marino. And I remember the defense was coming off the field. We would have these long 12, 13-play, 14-play drives on offense and score touchdowns. Marino would have these 2-play, 3-play drives, and the defense is coming off the field. And Webby looks at him and goes, "Can you just slow him down a little bit?" And that's what I felt like during the game. That's what I said during the broadcast. And of course, Wolf down on the sidelines echoed that because Patrick Mahomes aired it out. He's got, he throws, I was poo-pooing him last week. I really was. I was saying, they're making it sound like he's the second coming of Danny Marino. Well, he did look a lot like Danny Marino on Sunday afternoon, and he did it in Heinz Field, which that surprised me as well.
Now, because it was at Heinz Field, because of the high scoring points in the game and just maybe the feel of it, did it feel a little bit like that loss to Jacksonville in the playoffs?
You know what? I don't. Yeah, that's a good question, Missy. I don't know that it felt like that. I don't think it felt like that because the defense came up with a turnover that they scored off of. We didn't give the ball away, and we still lost. That's what made, to Labs' point, this offense, the Kansas City Chiefs offense, so attractive because they did it without takeaways. And, all you could do is look at I watched the film again today, and I was amazed. The young man has a big-time arm, and what surprised me that I didn't see from the game in Denver last year, the one game he started, or the third preseason game, or last week against the LA Chargers, the sitting in the pocket, the patience to allow the progressions, and he made some plays.
Here's the other thing that really impressed me about him, and you often don't see this from young quarterbacks. He threw 6 touchdown passes to 5 different people. He was using all of his eligibles. I mean, this is a guy who was looking at the whole field. He wasn't locking in just on one guy and, then pulling the ball down and running if he wasn't open or whatever. I thought that the way he handled the whole thing, operated the offense, was very belied the number of years of experience in the league. And let's not forget this either. For the number of plays that the Kansas City Chiefs ran, which was 54 offensive plays, they only had 5 third down situations. 5 third down situations. And so again, I'm going to reiterate what I said earlier about Alex Smith, check down and being conservative. Patrick Mahomes was going down the field. He was attacking down the field, and those weapons that the Chiefs have assembled allowed him to do that and be successful doing it.
All right, let's take a quick listen to some of Coach Tomlin after the game yesterday at Heinz Field.
First 3 or so possessions of the game were stopped because we got behind the chains because of penalties, and I thought penalties were a factor in us defensively in the second half in terms of minimizing our opportunity on possession downs and even losing some of those possession downs because of penalty.
All right, and speaking of penalties, we're going to get to those a little bit later in the show, but coming up next after this quick break, Tunch heads to the telestrator to talk tight ends. All right, we're going to talk some good and some bad with Chalk Talk to help maybe ease the pain and give Labs a break because we know he's not liking this.
Right. He's very depressed. He needs counseling. Yeah.
All right, let's talk tight ends. Tunch.
Okay, so the 2 tight ends showed up in a big way on Sunday afternoon. Jesse James of the Steelers and Travis Kelce of the Kansas City Chiefs. And Travis Kelce was invisible last week against the LA Chargers, and he almost looked like he copped an attitude. I was talking about it, like he wasn't hustling. Well, I think they decided they wanted to get him in the game and get him early. So this is his first touchdown pass. So he's going to release outside, and he's going to run a seam route right down the field. Tyreek Hill is going to also run a go route down the sideline, and then Kareem Hunt is going to run a flare pass. The Steelers, right now, it looks almost like cover 3 or cover 1, but what it actually is, it's Tampa 2. So we're going to have Sean Davis go back here, safety here, and then what's going to happen is John Bostic is going to go to the middle of the field. We're going to see underneath by Vince Williams. And let me start the play. And the one problem is right now, you've given a free release to Travis Kelce. There's nobody bumping him, and he gets free. And so here's Bostic, who's right here, and he's trying to get over to. When you play the Tampa 2, you play in the middle of the field, and right now he's not going to be able to make a play because that ball is thrown behind him. And it's thrown perfectly. There's a triangle right here of 3 Steelers around Travis Kelce. The fact that ball was thrown behind Travis Kelce is away from John Bostic, over the head of Vince Williams, and underneath Cam Sutton. And that's just a beautiful play. Let's take a look at the end zone version of that. And one of the things that they do a great job of giving this young man protection. Now watch his eyes. He does a lot of gyrations before the snap, and I think some of that is to throw you off, and some of that is accurate. Now, so he's looking to his right. He's got it set. Now there's a nice pocket here. Unfortunately, no pressure by the Steelers. And see how that, once again, that ball is, here's John Bostic. He's over here. They're in this triangle, and it's not, they're not able to make a play. And, of course, you're going to see the dance, but I'm glad we're not going to have that. All right, now on this one, this is the touchdown pass to Jesse James. So AB is going to run a deep post. And so he's going to run a deep post. You're going to run a go route by James Washington. You're going to see Juju run a hook and a flare by James Conner. But watch the patience of, or watch the smarts of Jesse James. He's going to run a deep in cut, but he's going to start coming in. It almost looks like he can slow down. And then when he sees Ben scrambling, he's going to take off for the sideline. So let's take a look at it as it plays out. As Ben calls the cadence, he's taking the ball and he sets it out. Now, right now, he looks like he's going to launch it. Now he stops. Now he's looking over here to James Conner, but there's coverage over here, so he doesn't throw it. Meanwhile, here is Jesse James, and now he's going to come back to the sideline. And Ben backs out, and now he throws the ball to Jesse. And Jesse does a great job of coming to the sideline. Eric Murray's in coverage. That was the one of many times that Eric Murray got beat. Now watch the protection. This is tremendous protection. This is the rookie outside linebacker. He's going to try to bull rush Big Al. Watch what Al does. Throws him on the ground, traps his hand, and then buries him. That's what gives, you look at that. Look at that pocket. I mean, Ben's got plenty of time. He could wait for a pizza to be delivered, throws it off his back foot, and there it is. All right, so we're going to watch the next big play that James makes, or that Jesse makes. Now this time, he is going to run down the field, and he's going to run in cut, and then he's going to run a return route. But he's going to run it because he's going to see Ben come this way. So let's take a look at how this plays out at the snap of the ball. Ben once again did a great. Every time Ben was scrambling, it seemed like he was looking for Jesse, and Jesse does a great job of running to the sideline. So he's coming to the inside right now, and he's still covered by Eric Murray. Now another go route on both sides. Now watch the way he'll stop, and now Ben's going to come this way, and so is Jesse James. Jesse has a great feel for it, and now he's off to the races. And I want to show you this from the end zone. A great block by James Washington. He gets two. In our day, you'd get a free Euro sandwich for knocking two guys out. We always say it's a gyro. Now watch at the end of this. Ben makes the throw. Watch this block right here by James Washington. He's going to hit Ron Parker. Ron Parker is going to hit Eric Murray, and you're going to see two go down. Boom and boom. Ah, you got to love that. All right, so, okay, the last play, this is Travis Kelce's touchdown. This time, Travis Kelce is in the slot to the left. The Steelers are going to be cover two. They did a great job of disguising their coverages, but when both these safeties go back into their half, Travis Kelce is going to run the post pattern, and Conley's going to also run a post. He's the slot guy. We're going to run a go route by Tyreek Hill, and it's just like they flood the zone, and that's that is tough to cover in zone coverage. So at the snap of the ball, all three of these guys are running. Look at it's all vertical routes, and they're challenging all of them. Now it's man underneath right here, and Mike Hilton is on Connolly. The only one that's not in man coverage is Travis Kelce, but watch how he goes right to the middle of the field, and that ball is thrown right on the money. So it was a tough day for when the Steelers were in zone, the way the Chiefs flooded the zones.
All right, a lot more to talk about. We're going to call it the good, the bad, and the ugly. We'll be back with that right after this break.
Execute better.
They made more plays. Obviously, when you give up 42 points, that's unacceptable. Steeler defense, you don't win a lot of games when you give up 42 points. I ain't calling nobody out. As a leader, I gotta play better. Just gotta stress it home.
That was Cam Hayward after the loss to the Chiefs at Heinz Field on Sunday. And just a quick shout out to Hayward. He was in the locker room again today, fielding questions from the media. One of those guys that's always there, and obviously voted defensive captain for a reason. But unfortunately, as promised, we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. Labs and Tunch back with me. I'm going to take the good because I get to call the shots. You guys can deal with the bad and the ugly, so we'll start with the good. I'm going to start with James Washington. We didn't see a ton of him in Cleveland. He only played 11 snaps in Cleveland. No targets towards him, but then this game against the Chiefs, Justin Hunter didn't even get a helmet. James Washington did, and he made the most of the snaps that he had. 5 snaps, 1 catch. That catch was for a touchdown, guys. For a guy who dealt with an oblique injury throughout the back half of the preseason and somebody who needed to earn the trust of Ben Roethlisberger, I think he's slowly but surely starting to do that. Ben Roethlisberger even said last week just the nuances of the Steelers' offense that the rookies have to learn. James Washington obviously trying to make that mark and to insert himself, maybe becoming that third receiver that everybody likes to talk about.
Yeah, and I mean his development, his continued development, continued production, I think is going to be very important for this offense because, as you were saying, Missy, there seems to be a hole there. But after Antonio Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster, who's next? And that's a spot I think that when the Steelers used that second-round pick on James Washington, it was something they kind of thought or hoped was a role that he would take over. And as you mentioned, that oblique injury, I think, set him back a little bit. He didn't play much offense in the opener because young guys don't get to play if they're not practicing, even though he practiced the week leading up to the opener. He hadn't practiced a lot in the weeks preceding that. And so I'm hoping that James Washington now can stay healthy enough to practice during the week. That'll mean more time in the games, and I think that that'll translate into more production.
And the other thing is that I think Ben has confidence in him because you saw that on the opening play that he went deep to James. He's getting more familiar with the offense. The more reps he gets, the better he's going to be. And the more he is out there, the more confident Ben will be in him. And so I think he's off to a good start.
All right, the bad, Tunch. I'll throw this one to you.
This killed me. We were talking about the Steelers came marching back down 21-0 to tie it 21-21.
Excitement at halftime.
I'm excited. I'm jacked. I'm thinking, they're coming back. They're not going to be it's a juggernaut, and Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City, they're done. Well, I was wrong, and I was talking about many coaches will say the most important drive of the game is the opening drive of the third quarter. So I was thinking about that, and so he starts off with this throw and catch to Tyreek Hill for 36 yards, and this is the opening play of the third quarter. And the second play is to Sammy Watkins, but that's an incomplete. Then there's a short pass to Kelsey for 13 yards. And all of a sudden, they're off and running. And, the thing that really shocked me, and the touchdown pass, the second touchdown pass to Travis Kelsey was, this is the one move the chains, but they made it look too easy. They made, it was not only that they score, but they made it look too easy. And that was the touchdown pass I just drew up on Chalk Talk, the post in between the two safeties. And when that happened, that to me was like a punch in the gut.
All right, Labs, we left the ugly for you, of course.
I mean,
break it down for us.
Shouldn't be any other way.
Well, I didn't mean it like that.
Yes, you did.
I meant we gave you the words to talk about because you're down here, I'm like here, and Tunch is still
Don't try
up
and get
here.
on my good side.
Yeah.
Last week, opening kickoff weekend, I've written about this, talked about this. There were 255 accepted penalties in the NFL. #unwatchable. In the Steelers-Chiefs game, 24 penalties, 12 for each team. Now, I know that Steelers fans like to point to the penalty total and blame it on the team being undisciplined and saying that that's the fault of the head coach. But the Chiefs were penalized a dozen times as well. And I don't want to see this. I don't think fans want to see this. Not the fans in the stands, not the fans watching on television. 24 total penalties is too many in any NFL game. None of them really were the player safety kinds of things. And I don't know. Like I said, I would rather the game be played with us watching it later and saying, oh, they missed a penalty there, they missed a penalty there, or as opposed to, oh my God, they continue to throw flags. Is this ever going to end?
That's fair. I can agree with Labs on
you
that.
know what? I've said this 100 times. The National Football League has tweaked and tweaked and tweaked to the point where there are so many rule changes that most officials, they're not officiating what they see. They're officiating what they think they see. And I think that's what makes this a very, very, very tough game to watch. Sometimes it's, it's so ticky-tack on pass interference calls, on holding calls. To quote Labs, just let them play. I mean, I want to see them play the game, but it is the nature of the National Football League right now, and I think it's gonna get worse before it gets better.
They've turned these officials into stars, too, deified them to the point where they're in the booth, they're experts. Yeah. I mean, they have radio shows. Are you kidding me? I mean, what other sport? I mean, are there any umpires in a baseball broadcast booth giving you what they think every time a ball or a strike is called? Or in the NBA, was that a block or a charge? In the NFL, I mean, they're going to Blandino, Pereira, Gene Steratore, Terry McAuley. I mean, some of those guys weren't very good at their job when they had it, let alone now they're going to talk about how other people should be doing it. I mean, there's just way too much emphasis in my mind on the officials and what they're supposed to do. Like Art Rooney Sr. always said, they should be like the football. They're important to the game, but you hardly ever notice them.
All right, and on that note.
Wow, that was great. Very insightful.
That was him. I was just
I know,
quoting.
right? That was a good quote.
All right, that is going to do it for this edition of Steelers Live. Don't forget Coach Tomlin's press conference Tuesday at noon. We'll be back at 4 to break it.
I'm the ugly one.
Labs is way too sensitive today, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow at 4 p.m.